If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Welcome to Billy Ho Sports. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to like and comment on the videos. I hope you enjoy the show. Now, let's go. Hello, Billy Ho here. We're going to get into some Week 5 game stacks, but before we do that, I'd like to welcome everybody to Billy Ho Sports and have an important announcement. If you don't already know, there will be an upcoming NFL main slate contest with a $250 in total prizes. And the goal is for my YouTube channel to hit 250 subscribers. Once we hit that, we run the contest. It will be a free roll on DraftKings. Main slate contest, maybe week 7, week 8. Whenever we get to the 250, that week's main slate will be the contest. Or if it's late in the week, we'll go the following week. It's going to start on a Monday. And I'm already putting together invites for people that have subscribed to the channel and that are in the Discord that support Billy Ho in any way. So there is a thread out there that's in the description, and it's on Twitter. It's in my pinned comments. And so go to that thread, leave your DraftKings username there, or leave your DraftKings username in the comments of the NFL video that I did with Squirrel Man. And it's how he won the 10K on DraftKings. That's the best way. What I need ultimately is your DraftKings username and a way to privately contact you to get your Cash App information, either PayPal or Venmo preferred. I don't really go any other routes other than those two. So we want to make sure we get those Cash Apps, and we don't want to publicize that, obvious reasons. So we DM privately and exchange that information. And that way, if you win, you'll get your money. So make sure you do that. And you ultimately have to subscribe to the channel. You go to that Twitter post and you retweet it and you like it. All that good stuff. Announcement number 2. Billy Ho Sports has changed his Twitter handle to @BillyHoSports. I was actually a bit shocked. I thought about changing it because it's been Billy 40 since I got on Twitter 10 years ago or more, whatever, 2012. I guess it's been 10 years. So I've been thinking about changing it, and I thought, well, I don't want to lose what little followers I have and the chain that I have and everything. So I got in there and I said, well, okay, they've made it easy. I just go in there and change it. If it's available, I change it right there. Well, Billy Ho @BillyHoSports was surprisingly available. I thought I'd have to be underscore or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or some bullshit like that, but it's @BillyHoSports. So it's easy to find me on Twitter. No excuses. All right. So week 5, we are set to go. And here's a look at the main slate of games Sunday. Of course, we got the second week of the London game. So Giants and Packers players need to be set for your home leagues by 9:30 Sunday morning. My opponent in my home league got caught slipping. Kamara was out. I beat him. He lost because of that, basically. So I'll take that win. Thank you very much. And be sure to stick around because I think I got a pretty good game stack or two toward the end of the show here. So if you want to check that out, stay tuned. So anyway, what I always do is I start with the Vegas totals and I look for the highest total games, and then I look for home teams that are favored and, things of that nature. So that's pretty obvious. But let's take a look at some games. All right. Let's get it clear. Clean slate, main slate. This week's going to be pretty fun, I think. There's no game on the main slate with over a 50 total. I think maybe 48's the highest one, something in that range. I always like to round up or down when I see the 0.5s on these totals. But this is your Vegas board, courtesy of Fantasy Labs, and so you got the giant. You got the that's the Giants and Packers is 9:30. So you got the 1 o'clock game of the Cleveland Chargers, 47 and a half, 44, 42, 44, 45, 48. Bucks. We'll talk about that. 47, 45. 4 o'clock games, 39. Puke. Here's a big one, 49 indoors and 43. So those are your big games. So let's get to cracking. So the first game I wanted to talk about is that Atlanta and Tampa Bay game with a 48 total. Juicy. Tom Brady, 6K, way too cheap at home against Atlanta. He has crushed Atlanta since he's been at Tampa Bay. And he's, let's see, 6K. You're obviously stacking both Evans and Godwin if you so choose. Godwin came back and had, I believe, 10 targets in that game, 59 yards. Not a huge game, but great game back. But more importantly, he played 65. No, wait a minute. He played what? 50 snaps, 53 snaps. And Brady's likely not going to throw it as much as he did chasing the Chiefs Sunday night, but they always still throw a ton. He's throwing it 40 times, I think, no matter what. Probably Drake London as a run back first, I guess. I might be interested in Pitts, but he had one good game against Seattle's shit defense, so I really don't know if I can endorse that. Now, if you want to save salary, Zacchaeus down here has not gotten a ton of targets, but he gets downfield, average 27, 24, above 10 yards. If he can just get the 4 targets, and he sometimes finds his way into the end zone, one time he can get you 15 point. If he can 3-4x at 4K, you're fine. So if you want to go that route, that's cool. So there's your stacks there. Atlanta is going to be way too far behind. So I won't rule out some Fournette either. Leonard Fournette still gets the volume. He didn't get much work. He got scripted out because they got so far behind with rushing. But look, he still gets his work in the passing game, touchdown. So he's an absolute piece of the pie. And, if you want to get into those big Millie Maker GPPs and try to work that shit, let's see, it's 1 o'clock game, so we don't want to go there. You can onslaught that shit, Evans and Godwin. Go all 4. And, if you want to play London, I don't know if you can get there with London, but you could just go, cheap Zacchaeus and run it from there. You got $5,000 and, you're not going to play Falcons D, but just a cheap D. And then you're right back up to 6K. So that's workable right there. I'm going to play that probably just in a long shot, like a single entry, $3 pylon or something like that. Something with 15K or more entries, I think would be cool. Because that's the way you do it. Because Brady can get there with everybody at home against Atlanta. I haven't checked weather, but as long as it's not storming, and they're going to be a week since the hurricane blew through, so they're going to get shit cleaned up by then. So everything should be fine. The field should be in good condition. I don't think it's going to be a washout. So we should be good there. But that's going to be a real good. That's probably my first favorite game stack right now. And of course, the next game stack is the highest total. I think it was 49, Philly and Arizona. So, you can choose your weapon on either side for quarterback, Hurts or Murray. They both run, they both throw. Hurts has been more consistent. Uh, this game I kind of toss because of the weather, like I talked about previously. Raining sideways, they did a lot of running. They got down early, and then they just kind of grinded their way back into it, riding their defense, and then got ahead. And Sanders smashed it. So, not saying Sanders won't smash again, because Arizona's defense is pretty weak. So I believe I'm the dumbass that said I would not pay $6K for Miles Sanders because he's done this in the previous 3 weeks. And look at that. All right. Eat your words there. But that's all right. I still won money last week. So, it's all good. I like to see Miles Sanders get there. I drafted him as a rookie and he didn't do shit for me. 8,100 fair price for Hurts in this spot indoors. He can run. He didn't use his legs last week because Sanders did it all, but he can definitely take off running and get some scores. Boston Scott, we don't know his availability yet, but for game stack purposes, probably don't matter. And we all know who it's going to be. It's going to be A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Zach Ertz. And you're going to run it back, I'm sorry, Dallas Goedert. Run it back Ertz on the Arizona side. Maybe Hollywood Brown. He's getting so much targets. He just doesn't seem to, 31. He can get there. He's getting double-digit targets. 7,200. People will see Marquise Brown in 7,200 and be like, what? So they may not go there because if you get into that same range, you got A.J. Brown just ahead of him and Mike Williams and C.D. Lamb, Mike Evans, Metcalf. We got a whole bunch of dudes around him. So he may go overlooked. So I'm probably going to have some interest in Marquise Hollywood Brown. The one other guy that I wanted to mention as part of a game stack would be Rondell Moore. And he made his first appearance back. He's 4,100. Right there, 4,100. And he played, let's see, how many snaps did he play? 65 snaps in his return to action. So that's good. Now, he only got 5 targets, caught 3 for 11 yards, but they were ahead a lot in that game. So, him just being out on the field and getting reacclimated to the offense was probably the key to everything there. It's probably better that he only caught 3 passes for 11 yards instead of 5 passes for 75 yards and a touchdown, because then everybody would be on him. So we give him that 1 week to get his mind and his body right and get reacclimated, and he might be a really, really good run back play at 4,100. Now, we need to keep an eye on missing Boston Scott. So Murray, if you do go Murray, you know the pass catchers. I already mentioned them. Other than that, that's all I got to say about that game. It is what it is. So the next game I wanted to talk about is going to be quite interesting, isn't it? Let's go over here and look at this Pittsburgh-Buffalo game. We saw they finally at halftime benched Mitch Trubisky. And now is it the Kenny Pickett experience? Because Kenny Pickett had 2 rushing touchdowns. So he might have a little Josh Allen in him. He didn't run a lot during the game, 6 times and a half, but not many yards. But he took it upon himself at the goal line, which is an absolute indictment on that offensive line and indictment against Najee Harris. If he had to hold that ball and get it, and he had to bang his way into the end zone. It was everything he had to get in there. So he threw 3 picks. One of them was at the end of the game, and one of them was as soon as he got in the game. He's going to get a full week of the first team snaps. But guess what? He gets to go to Buffalo. Tough defense there. So he might get baptized by fire next week. So roster him at your own risk. But 5,100 he's my kind of guy to stack because you got all kinds of dudes in Deontay Johnson and Claypool and Pickens. It could be Pickens. Say it real fast, 19 times. So all kinds of dudes there to play with. And of course, Buffalo's got all kinds of dudes. Stephon Diggs, I think, is interesting because he's still 8,400 and he has not produced in the last 2 weeks. He had the sweaty, exhausting Miami game, and he still might even have been. And then he had the sideways rain game where balls were skipping off of him and stuff like that. He still caught 4 for 62. So he 8,400, that'll kill your lineup, but don't get me wrong. But he still got a good floor for a dude. So I think people will be off Diggs because of the price. So he would be an obvious run back to me. You also have McKenzie and Gabe Davis back. I'm tossing this Baltimore game because it was just really everything Josh Allen could do, and he gutted out the win. So he took the whole team on his back. Interesting side note, McKenzie, I don't know what his status is. He's still in the concussion protocol as of today. So if he is ruled out, and like I said, maybe in a previous video, we all know from the Tua injury last Thursday night that everybody's going to be dialed in on the concussion protocol. So it's going to be extra hard to clear it this week. So if McKenzie is a no-go, Shakira, the hips don't lie. But 2 for 23, it sucks. But if he gets more snaps at 3,200 punt, all it takes is one catch. Maybe he gets down the field or something. But he'd be the slot guy because Crowder's out. So Shakir moves into the slot. Now he will go behind Davis and Diggs and likely Knox. I don't really know where Knox is at these days. 3,600. The price keeps going down. I like that. So 3,800 down to 3,600. This may be the week to fire him up because he had 6 targets, 3 for 40, and he has yet to score a touchdown. They paid him all that money in the contract. They're going to use him in the pass game. So all he needs is a touchdown to pay that price. And of course, you got Freiermuth going the other way as a also run back. And I looked up the Pickett's preferences, and he threw Pickens' way the most. Then it was Freiermuth, them two, and then I think Claypool. He seemed to be the odd man out. I think he got an end zone target, but he didn't catch it. So that's all I want to say about that game. I think it's a very interesting game. I don't know. People are going to be all over Josh Allen, so it's probably going to be a popular game, and everybody will probably be excited to see what Pickett can do now. So, there you go. Now, next item up for bids is going to be, and I'll tell you straight away, I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't like this one. Dallas on the road at the Los Angeles Rams. Now, for a gambler, I like it because I think this is a get-right game for the Rams, and I think they will absolutely smash Dallas this week. And Stafford's 6,400. We know Kupp's going to be expensive, 96, but he's willing to pay up. And I think we got the Monday night discount for Tyler Higbee because I talked about that in my video with the Squirrel Man. You need to check that out on YouTube. That's where we got the contest and all that good information. Great video with Jose. But I said Higbee specifically when we were doing a game stack, he got 14 targets, 10 catches, 73 yards. He didn't even get in the end zone. All he needs is one touchdown. He ain't scored all year. So he's on my radar. So you can go Higbee. And since this is a 4:00 game, we can put Kupp in the flex and, cheap defense. And you can still get there with Stafford. And we saw what Debo did. The one weakness of this Rams defense seems to be the pass game. I think they ain't been getting as much pressure either. So I think Lamb gets loose. That's expensive. And if you can't afford that, They got Gallup back, who caught a touchdown, and they also have Noah Brown, who does have an injury, but we'll keep an eye on that. But I think he's going to be good to go. Mike McCarthy said he practiced ahead of the week. So it was a neck injury. He left the game. He actually had 3 catches for 61 yards before leaving. So that's pretty good. Now, we are getting down to the nitty gritty here. So, all right, now we're going to get a little weird. Let's see. Before we get to this game, I want to talk Houston, Jacksonville. Now, before we get started, this is the game stacks video. So it doesn't always necessarily mean the quarterback. And I had mentioned that really enough, I guess. But this game can be just a mini stack type game. I absolutely have interest in James Robinson. He's going to be really popular, but maybe people look at last week's game log and go, But I think that game script kind of was wonky at best. He split almost evenly with Etienne. But James Robinson is the guy at home. I mean, Etienne will get in there. Maybe he'll have an early fumble, and you'll see Robinson rip off a 60-yard touchdown, something like that. But anyway, this has some decent chance to do some scoring here. Lawrence is 5,600. And like I said, I'm tossing this game out. That was crap. I think his realm is from 18 to 25. And he might be able to if he ever gets a rushing touchdown, he's going to hit 30. I think this game they will be out in front. And even if they're mashing people like they did Indy, like they did the Chargers, I still think he throws it 35, 40 times in this game. Because how is he ever going to get better as a quarterback if he don't continue to throw more? And especially if they got the game in hand against Houston, why not? I mean, you're not rubbing it in. It's professional football. So that's my 2 cents on that. My 2 cents on Davis Mills is I made a huge mistake using him instead of Geno Smith last week, as Jose showed us, the Squirrel Man in our video we did. He had Geno Smith, and he won hundreds, and I won tens. Davis Mills, he still had 15, which, at 5K is 3X. Not the end of the world, but I really thought he'd be better than that. But he makes too many mistakes, by the way, real quick. 2 picks and a fumble, which he didn't lose, but still 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, 1 fumble lost, 2 more interceptions. He didn't really look that mistake prone to me, but he evidently is a little bit shaky. So anyway, Dameon Pierce is interesting. 14 carries. He broke off the 75-yarder, but he's still getting a lot of volume at Chicago. The Jacksonville defense is very formidable. I don't think I'll have interest. I have him in my home league, and I'm not starting him. But Burkhead, actually, if they get way down in this game, I mean, there you go. 5 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown, I'll take. And he may get more work than that. I don't know. But, Pierce ripping off that 75-yarder just kind of solidifies him as the running back. And then you have the wide receivers. You're obviously looking at Cooks and Kirk. 1-2. Zay Jones looks like he will be back. I think he'll be ready to go, Doug Peterson says. So I like that. Agnew paid everybody off last week, but he's not. He's moving back to whatever he was doing before Zay Jones went out. So Zay Jones is in the mix as a cheap $4,100 second guy. If you wanted to go Law, I mean, here's your stack. Lawrence, you can almost do the same thing. Lawrence, Robinson. I may do this too, actually, just for fun. And then you got Kirk and Cooks. That's too many. That's a pretty good stack right there. I was going to say you could throw in Zay Jones, but I don't know that you got that many that Lawrence can get you there. But that's a pretty good stack right there, I think. That's unique, too, because people won't play quarterback with running back. but Robinson should, he got 0, of course, last week in that rain, but he should still get 2 to 5 targets in this game. So there you go. I'm digging that one. Last game, Chicago, Minnesota. And these are all mid 40s, 47 totals in that range and whatnot. So now we've got Kirk Cousins. He's still expensive. And it's like I said, it's hard for him for a pure drop back passer on DraftKings to get there. For one, you have to have 3 touchdowns and you have to have 300 yards. I mean, he threw for 273 and a touchdown, which in a real football game, they scored 28 points to win the game. He still got barely 14 DraftKings points. He hasn't cracked 20 all year. So I don't know if I can stomach paying up for Cousins. This might be the week where they cut it loose. I don't know. But I have a very, very interesting strategy that I'm going to show you here in a minute. But Cousins back at home at 1 p.m. is where you want him. And Justin Jefferson back on track last week in London with a monster game. Dalvin Cook. And actually, what I noticed was Thielen, and he's still getting steadily targeted. He still had a good game. He hasn't scored the touchdowns. And, at 1 o'clock home games, I thought he's got 2 TD upside in any game, especially at home. And then you also have Irv Smith, who's somewhat involved, and he is all the way down to $3,200, which is actually not all the way down, but he's in the same range. But most of these mid-range guys that I've targeted as tight ends have been 4,000 to 4,700. So he's cheaper, and I think he's got similar upside to those guys. So keep him in mind. Cole Kmet, with Justin Fields being just as bad as he is, I feel sorry for any pass catcher. Now, the one thing I will say is I think might be finally indoors Darnell Mooney week. 5K, $300 off. He had 94 yards last week in a quiet game that nobody saw except for people watching Saquon Barkley running rough shot. So he only had 5 targets, but he still got loose. He can get down the field for long ones. So he might be that guy that breaks you, say, fourth quarter garbage time, and it's 35-7. And Fields hits Mooney for a 56-yard touchdown, and you get paid off, and he scores 25 points. Just saying. So keep that one in mind. The other one, interesting play I had here was if Minnesota does get a huge lead, because the one thing Chicago does is they run the ball a lot. So they chew up a lot of clock, but they don't move the ball. You're going to see a lot of 3 and outs. So I still think Minnesota gets enough possessions to get there. So Dalvin Cook could see his normal workload, and he could have a huge, huge week. Don't get me wrong. But if they get up, say Thielen catches one, Irv Smith catches one, and Dalvin Cook gets one, and then you get a couple field goals, and it's 27-3 in the third quarter. Well, Alexander Madison's coming in, and he's going to rip. So he's still got TD upside. He'll score he probably needs to score, but 6,400, nobody's going to play him unless Dalvin Cook falls off the bus, getting off the bus, right, Gus? So keep that in mind. Alexander Madison, absolute punt play, because if 2 can get there, and Dalvin Cook, does not have an injury designation, but he had a shoulder injury. So if he gets rocked on that shoulder again and they got a lead, he may come out of the game and you may see a ton of Madison. So that's going to do it for the Week 5 Game Stack show. The next show, we'll get into some positional plays, probably coming tomorrow. Remember, the contest is out there. I'm going to start putting the Twitter link in there and different ways to get your DK invite. It's going to be completely separate from the Flophouse or from my Full Keegan League. that I usually send my invites out. I'm really, really trying to get the people that have actually subscribed to this channel, and especially the people that go from 200 to 250, because they're new people. And you know how we all do with our providers, all the new people get the best treatment, right? You get that 1 year discount on your internet from Spectrum. But anyway, I digress. 250 subs is the goal. We're already on our way. Let's get this free contest going. Until the next video, take care. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. All that good stuff.